So I've now hit the record button. This is Mike Lindsay in LA, and this is a recorded session of our Revit training session with our consultant Peter. And we have the rest of our Revit team, Robin in Boston, Simi in New York. Mike, unfortunately, couldn't join us today, but I'll make sure to share all the details with him. So, with that, I wanted to pass it over to Peter. Right now we're looking at your desktop, and we can get this thing started.
So thank you so much, Michael. You sent over several topics that you wish to cover, and maybe we can just cover those here of an index of what we're going to try to cover today in this session. First, title block creation. How we start a title block from scratch. Potentially, if we have add title blocks already built up, what do we do? How to start and make a new fixture family. Make a new fixture family. We'll do several types. Third is changing a hosted fixture to a non-hosted fixture and vice versa. Fourth is doing a fixture schedule, how to do a new one. Number 5 would be doing your lighting power density calculations. 6 would be project closeout. Anything else we should add to the list, or are those 6 topics actually what we're hoping to get done today?
Those kind of covered what I looking for. I don't know if there's anything from Robin or Simi that
run the WebEx number.
Oh. If there's anything that they wanted to add to the mix here.
That covers it. I don't have anything additional.
Great. Well,
New York.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have anything additional either at the moment.
Great. Okay. So this is wisely recording this. Let me into it. Title block creation. Okay, title blocks work like any other object in Revit. There are families, right? There are families that control the different types of title blocks, same as they house the different types of fixtures that be in a project. And firms can take 2 different approaches. They can try to put all of their title blocks within one title block family. For instance, you could say HLB title block, you just have one family, use multiple types of that, and the title block would grow and shrink as things parametrically dependent upon the size. Just a lighting fixture, we can get the title block to grow and shrink. It's complicated because sometimes firms have so many different types of title blocks, sketch title blocks. Trying to get 8.5 by 11 title block to stretch out to become a 36 by 48 title block is hard. Different ways to do it, though, within that family. I'm going to take a different approach and I believe this is the way that HLB had it set up previously, is that you have different families for different sizes. Is that correct?
Yeah, okay. And the reason why I wanted to touch on this is actually we recently went through not a rebranding, but our team actually looked at CAD in particular and our kind of presentation format and really revamped all of our title blocks and presentation sheets to kind of this consistent language. So what we're going to need to do for Revit is really transfer kind of the same that CAD information that's already been developed, create its Rev title blocks that match. So in my mind, one of the things I guess that I wanted to go over is if we could take one of our CAD title blocks as a reference and go through the process of in Revit, I think that for question we would probably have separate Revit families for the sizes. We wouldn't kind of group them all together, but going through that process, then I think our team could hopefully take the reins and kind of build of these. I think we have something like 12 or something like that?
Yeah, we've got quite a few, but I agree with Michael.
So
It makes a lot of sense to break it up. Yeah, so I would foresee that you would have an HLB presentation title block family. Within that, you may have a few different sizes, if at least close to one another. You may have anywhere from 11 by 17 up to 30 by 42 or something, if it's a fairly simplified title block. But we'll take a look. Let's dig right into it. I mean, the transition, and I think very wisely, this has all been done in CAD first. In some ways, I think that intuitively CAD just does a better job with title block creation. And by that I mean it's one to tighten things a little bit tighter. If anyone's noticed this, in Revit, sometimes your text will have drawings expand a little bit by about 10, maybe 15% in size. And it's just the way that Revit handles dimensioning and text and things like that. I feel like in CAD we're able to get things much tighter. And the fact we have them built up is good. Make a very easy transition.
Do we have, you know, or you point him to one of our examples?
I can lead
Perfect.
Peter to that. Peter, if you open my computer.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Let's do it through the process that we're about ready to do. I'll actually be browsing for these, if that will make sense.
Yep.
Great. Okay, let's everyone just off of your startup block, startup splash screen, hit new. We are going to go for a, R pull down, new, family. Title block. We're going to hit new size. We're going to allow it to be generic for the time. We'll hit open. Okay. So historically, it starts you off with an 8.5 by 11. It does not, it's going to be able to grow and shrink as we need it to. First thing we'll want to do, though, is if we have existing title blocks already made. Tab here. And the base template, you cannot delete the outermost lines. They're stuck with them. It's not actually a bad thing. When you see title blocks, you get you see the category here is title blocks. Some people like to start out by making those invisible. You hit tab, you get over to invisible lines. Consider outermost boundaries of the sheet. Okay, and so everything that we're going to try to do is working inside of that. Now, take a look via browsing at the type of title block that we want to create, and then I'm going to make a decision on whether or not I want it to grow and shrink and have a few different sizes. You have to think about it almost from the beginning, whether or not you want it to grow and shrink or not. But maybe I can take a look at what you already have created. I'm going to go to the Insert tab, and I'm going to import CAD. Okay. And from here, I'll take some guidance on where the title blocks are. Okay. All right.
HLB templates. Up. Like template BN drawing at the bottom.
Okay. Good. So here we're currently importing this. This is going to be native to the project.
Sorry. Do you want an individual title block? Because they want to go CAD title block.
Okay. Yeah. That would actually be. Yeah, I think this makes sense. We want to bring in the whole thing. That being said, is that
all are inside of that HLB template?
Got it. All of them are contained within there. What on just different tabs?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Let's see individuals. That will make a little bit more sense. But what is L and P are landscape and portrait?
Correct.
Okay. Great. And I don't have any sketch title blocks or presentation title blocks per se?
No, not currently.
Okay. Well, take your working, your drawing block. Let's just start there. Maybe let's start with a 24 by 36. How does that sound?
Okay.
Great. We're gonna allow it just to default to center to center. Hit open. I guess they were drawn in paper space. Z for extent. AL for a line, from a line to the outermost boundary. Okay. Those dimensions will not let them go. So here we go. We have a 24 by 36 that's been brought in. Everything's looking good there. Remember we had some trouble with your logo? I think I'm having a little trouble panning. Forgive me here.
Yeah, I think the way that I fixed that was I just imported a JPEG of our logo and placed it in there. Is what we're currently using on the title, our Revit title block.
Okay. Fantastic. So we could here within this. We brought in this title block. It doesn't look like we need to explode it down. There's nothing here text-wise that needs to alter from project to project, or we're going to put in the data that fills in here for date issues, scale, project number, title, all of those things. For the most part, it came in. It's looking pretty good. It's important. So we're going to manage styles. And where is that import? There, good. It came in as inches. All things. As you select it, you see that there is an explode. Let's just full explode and see. And the nice thing about doing the full explode is that we are able to see and select everything. So it brought in, those are all filled regions.
Where's the explode option?
As soon as you brought in, you select the title block, and explode is at the top of the screen.
I see that.
Select the title block, the CAD title block in the drawing area.
Yep.
You can explode. Full explode did not have good results. I'm going to try a partial explode. It's looking like we have.
Getting that option, oddly.
Oh.
Of exploding.
So did the title block. You went through the insert and import CAD process? Okay.
Yep.
Select it. And at the top of your screen, you're not getting the explode. Are you,
no.
tabs do you have, Robin?
Create, insert, view, manage, and then modify, import, and families.
Imports and families. And you don't have any of these other, explode.
No.
Back and reinsert the title block.
Okay.
Just do a partial explode. dimensions that we created. I'm gonna hide block lines.
Yeah. What? 13.
Anyone else having the same problem?
Yeah, Bear having
Yes, I am.
problem.
What version of Revit are you in?
I'm 2013. Should Were you able to successfully explode it down?
Similar to.
So it's been the block through. I'm just going to delete it. So insert, import CAD, 24 by 36. We'll hit import detect and imbalance in the paper space. Yes. Okay, line this down, and see title block, and you're not getting any of these options for explode or partial explode.
No.
Second,
I have
I'm
a
gonna
subcategory.
physically come over.
Okay. An MEP. Wah. I know, but that's not one. I understand why the Revit 2013 on the conference room computer would be different than the Revit 2013 we have.
Right now, this is still, but that's strange. I thought they were exactly the same in that regard. Huh.
Can you explode any other way? No. No for us guys. Okay. So if you click the little arrow button, guys, next to the Modify tab, cycle through your toolbars. It should were you able to find it, Michael?
Yeah, why to cycle through to do that though? We had it set up as what now? I don't know.
So there's a bunch of known issues, and that's probably one of them. I'm thinking that there's a lot of trouble with the ribbons. I'm not sure why. I just couldn't solve, but they aren't. Anyway, so everyone has explode, good catch. What you'd have to do. You shouldn't normally have to do that. So let's do a partial explode. That's things like your title block, low intact. It'll keep your text and your fonts looking correct. Okay. I'm going to hide my perimeter lines and margins using the sunglasses, and really for these corner blocks too. I just want to take these. I want to get anything out of the way that is meant to be invisible, and really those corner blocks probably could be at that point be invisible. After we imported, you see the other line types that are available? You have HLB, types that are now available in there as well. That's one issue with importing. We're in a project, importing versus linking. If you import, and then you explode something, it starts to make a little bit of a mess of the line types that are there in a project. And there's lots of Revit helper tools that are being developed. Of course, those were just apps these days. And there are some great apps out there that actually allow you to any rogue line types after bringing them into Revit. So there's some good things out there to help you get rid of AutoCAD line work that may be troublesome. And I'd like to keep these corner points in here. They're always good as a reference. I'm making them invisible lines.
You got the red corners all around can be.
Yeah, those are supposed to be non-plot as well, aren't they? They don't show up at all.
No.
Correct.
Okay. So non-plot. Let's just take this non-plot, visible lines, and I'm going to elements. Right about this mouse. It definitely makes things interesting.
Yeah.
I'm learning it for the first time, it feels like.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, I have to say.
So,
That's
okay, so here we've been reduced down to really simple parts. Let's do a window around everything. The goal of importing a title block like this is to take AutoCAD-ness out of it. And so what we're going to try to do is we're going to get all of the lines into being native Revit lines. Filter. And we're going to take off text notes, and we're going to take off the imports and families. We get most of our line work. We're going to change this over to be title blocks. Title blocks. They're looking good. That's meant to be an invisible line, isn't it?
Sorry, where did you get the filter from?
So when you select just to do a big window around everything, you should see the filter up in the ribbon. Maybe a ribbon?
Yeah, I'm cycling through again. Yep, there we go. Okay. And where are we unchecking?
You want to change? You want to select just lines. You want to uncheck text notes and uncheck imports and families, so you can just filter it down to the line work. From the HLB line to the native Revit line work called title blocks.
Okay. And with the lines themselves.
Correct. Yeah. You go into your Manage tab object styles and simply change the color of those lines. You don't absolutely have to make them native Revit. I just do it to make it clean. But it's not the worst thing. Here we are. We're going to try to keep a little bit of work. We may need to make a Revit version of this. But first part, all the text, when you select the text, that's the next thing that we need to work on, is get text to be black versus yellow, right? So we can take the native text that's coming in, and I'm going to start at the top and change its color to be black. Everything would imagine is correct from the AutoCAD settings that it came in with, its size, its width factor. We have to change this over and over for many, many different types. Each one of these are broken in different types. Just trying. Yeah. This is the one element, your logo, that we may need to make a Revit version of. That it has to be done. You'll have to make it black and white. You can do it in a CAD file and then bring it in, make it so it's black and white. But that conversion we won't be able to do today. So there's a text. If we do filter, no, I'm just going to grab text notes. All the same. I know that is because over in my properties, they popped up as just one type of text. I'm going to see edit type, black, we'll hit OK, and we are. Okay, excellent. So that's looking pretty good. There's the revision, or rather the plot stamp. Don't worry about that one too much because we're going to make a smart tag that handles that. I'm going to check my sunglasses and go reset my temporary isolate. I see everything again. I'm going to do a quick save just to, in my case, the desktop. You probably want to have families, as you're saying, for different sizes. I mean, I've worked with firms who want to try to put all of them within one. It becomes cumbersome. So for this exercise, just go.
Did you do save as family or save as template? Save as.
Oh, I just hit save.
Okay. Just kidding. Oh, all right. Thank you.
Just save puts it, and I saved it to my desktop there. And I'm going to delete these dimension lines. We really don't need this. For the way that we're setting these up, and it really seems like the way you'd like to set them up, we don't need to get them to grow and shrink. Firms, say, okay, we're going to leave the rightmost title block information be the same for all of our title blocks, and we're just going to vary the size to make them parametric. And put all in one, 6 in one, half dozen the other, as far as I can tell. So, how do we start making this title block smart? Well, let's begin with the HLB template. I'm reading the plot stamp. That we want it to read from where it's coming from. Now, I hear we have already a shortened version, and we may, we'll see what happens. What I want to use is something called a label. I want to make sure I understand what size this is. This is a Libre, and it's 19-256. Okay. I'll create tab. Label is different from text. Plain text, which this currently is because it was brought in from Revit, from AutoCAD, will change automatically. A label, however, will. And in label, let's just add a new type. We're going to hit edit type, duplicate, and we're going to call this Libre in 256. 256 inches. Okay. I like to make the background transparent. That's good settings for a label. And match, essentially, this type we are essentially trying to match to. Okay? It asks us where do we want to start it, and we just left click to start. Click near the text box that we already had. And here we're going to go to a date timestamp. These are available label values that this label can read from the project. Okay? Timestamp, we can also do file path. My apologies, I think we're really more looking for file path, correct?
Correct.
We'll hit this little series, because we're in the 2-column format, we're going to add file path over to the prayers that we want this label to read. Okay. So back into the drawing here. Essentially, we now have a line on top of that. And generally, I'm going to take the length out of it. Delete. And I'm putting this out to about there. Let's see how this acts. I'm going to have an open project right around. Hit the project. Don't watch my screen for a little while. I'm going to start a new project. New sheet. That title block into that project. Right sheets, new sheet. We're going to use HLB 24 by 36. I have a very short file path. I'm curious to know how this label is behaving in the real HLB server environment.
You can extend that text box though, right? And just make it as long as you may need it if it's...
That is correct, although I've had some instances where it became half the width of the sheet and it just was absurd. There are unfortunately there is no way currently to shorten that. So doing file path, I've seen some firms decide to turn it vertically, and then it can go as tall as it needs to go. It's not quite as obtrusive, but how lengthwise to everyone?
I think good.
Okay.
I'm trying to get one of your projects open. Unfortunately, it just takes a while.
Rob, did you get this title block into one of your projects?
No. Most of my projects are 2012 projects.
Okay, great. Great. Well, Barrett, you were able to get it into yours?
I have a file open.
Okay. Well, Mike, maybe as that one's loading, we'll go back to and continue some of the other labels. We can watch this work as we go. I'm going to close that view. Okay, so back here in the Talk family, let's start with something simple. Date issued and scale and project number. Are these as a text intended to remain on the sheet? So it says project number and then into the project number, or is project number the text that we see so be replaced by a number?
No, the title that goes, and then the wing actually goes below it.
Okay.
Let me open a pad file.
Our numbers would go below the project, the type project number.
Okay, great.
Okay.
What size that text is supposed to be? It goes below.
I think
Yeah, I'm opening a project right now. Hold on one second.
And also, Peter, is it possible, I know in our current title block we don't have this, to be able to do multiple lines of text? Because for instance, like if our name runs over, or we need to go to a second line, you end up having to space or tab a whole bunch to get it to go to second line.
Yep.
Can we just have a second line set up? Or
It's unfortunate. You can't get it to split automatically. The best way to get it to oh, you were saying for project name?
For instance, for project name or title, like if say level 4 and then the next line for say CP lighting layout. For
Is it wrap text or something along those lines? Like.
Got it. You just like the file path view, when you establish the length of that label box.
Yep.
Unfortunately, that applies to all.
Okay. You can't just create a separate bin of text. So, for instance, under title, could we have 3 lines of text, and I could just type in the first box, and the second box, and the third box?
You want them to be automatic so that it reads, so it jives with the project browser.
Right. It just ends up looking super weird because we end up with like 10,000 spaces.
Yeah.
The title doesn't read like level 4 lighting, next line, layout.
Actually, there isn't a way. It become clearer. Maybe there's a way we could add a piece of generic text, but getting it to read, say, if we bring on, like we name this sheet, right, currently unnamed, but we rename it, and let's say, lighting level 1, something very, very large,
Right.
But something very long like that,
Yep.
it's running into problems, right?
That's where we're running into problems. It
Okay.
splits it in weird places. So instead of it reading A101 lighting level 1, it'll say like A101 lighting, next line, level 1, enlarged, next line, plan.
Yeah. The play with it. It's unfortunately it's a one size fits all.
Here's the text sizes, and they're all in Calibri.
Awesome. Very, very kindly printed out the title block, the intended out sizes for all the text within a project. Wonderful. Thank you very much. So, what we want to do is let's just start with project name. And these are all Calibri, and they're all going to be starting out with 1/4 inch for project name and title. Those are both 1/4 inch, so we can use the same label type. Create tab, label, and we're going to make a Calibri 1/4.
Why do you do duplicate instead of just clicking and making a new one? Is there a difference?
That is making a new one. To duplicate it.
Oh, okay. When you just go to create label and that window, and then you just, hold on.
Yeah, because it picks the last size. Let me just show you here. Quick project name. I'm just going to select project name. We'll add that over there. We'll hit OK. What I do is, see, once I've started these different sizes, I have Calibri, 19256. Look, I can change that. That's under the hood. Now, to what we've been discussing so far is the extent of where that text goes to. See how it begins to wrap after a certain point? I generally, so it's somewhat like this. And the vertical alignment is top and left. And so that as there are carriage returns that are forced, it'll just wrap and it'll work its way down. Unfortunately, there's no other way to do any better here on this route, and that's probably it's one size fits all. Unfortunately, for all the title blocks.
Okay.
Notice too, there's no snaps for text, so it's a lot of kind of WYSIWYG stuff. Generally, the outer boundaries of text, as I was saying, I think they tend to balloon things. You can't snap, so you have to eyeball it. We don't like to eyeball anything in our world, right? But unfortunately, we have to on this. Okay, so project name. The title of each sheet is also quarter inch, so I can use the same. I'm going to use the CO command. Copy. I'm going to get down that endpoint. Other than accessing project name, I'm going to go up to Edit Label. Here I have project name. I'm actually going to discard project name, remove it, down to sheet name.
I think you have to filter through. Yep.
And there we are. Sheet name similarly is going to wrap. You probably can get about 3 before that. But did you get that project open by any chance?
I did, and I'm still punch up the one. The one comment that I had is, or the question that I had was, working on sharing enabled. So the file that I'm opening is off of my desktop.
Okay.
I'm still getting a similar path like you have, where it says, C, HLB user, all mess. Would recommendation be, if we're making sheets, then sending them to a client, that we would go back to the central model and do that? Or is there a way to kind of get the path of the central model instead of our local file?
Yeah, you're exactly right. There is actually a lot of documentation out about this very fact online. There are still approaches to it. Yeah, many firms are doing archived sets from the central model for that exact reason. What you can do is necessarily have a problem with them seeing that path. I mean, to be perfectly honest, when I get a drawing set, I could care less what the path of their project is, but I could see it being possibly useful for our internal team if they needed to reference where a file might be located in the future, but I think that's a rare occurrence. I think people should know where our files generally are.
Well, I don't think that anyone knowing where your local file is helpful. It's obvious on your desktop, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I
don't know how you handle.
That's very helpful, but that's me.
Yeah. I don't know how you handle archiving, too.
Part of our closeout question.
Yeah, because if you archive it and then you change the file path, ultimately, what good was that to begin with?
Yeah, I think we know how to do it, which is good, and maybe our team figures out what we want that to actually say, or if it's worth it, that type of stuff. Right. But don't worry about it too much for right now.
Yeah, sometimes I find firms really much prefer a date and a timestamp, and the user who drew it, or drawn by. That's more effective in tracing it back. But yeah, that's really what that's probably probably your biggest challenge is figuring a way that you want to handle that file path stamping to happen, and whether or not you really even need it. Exactly right.
Right. One thing I actually just ran into was the text sizing of these various labels that we're creating. The path one, I had made that small. In creating the project name one, however, that one was also small, and when I change it makes the other.
That's right. Did you, undo the, all the way back. How can we do this? You made the project name.
I think he needs to create another label.
Exactly right. When you go into edit type, I started out with the small one.
Gotcha. There you go. Yep.
Just duplicate
the same. Yep. Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
Thank you.
Yep, sure. And this is a good time also to talk about just purging really fast. Sometimes I love to clean up as much as I can along the way. Manage tab, purge unused. I'm going to hit check none just to start off. But look at text. We get rid of text that came in. The label that came in, the default label is, tag 1. Arrowheads, filled elevation, we don't need that. We can clean up a little bit, which is kind of nice. Okay. Then, look at our 2 native labels that we've made thus far. They're in the project. It's my OCD kicking in, but keep it all clean.
Yep.
But let's copy sheet name down for project number, CO. If I get the end of something or the midpoint of something, does anyone know how to control that? I thought you can use S, and it's a 2-letter system. S and E would be for snap end, and it'll only select endpoint, which is currently typed. SM for midpoint, SN for snap nearest. A nice little shortcut to help you from point A to point B a little faster. Okay, so our project number, this text piece is just a little too large. We're supposed to be at 3/16 of an inch. Hit type, due date, 3/16. Okay. 16. There we go. Okay, it's still reading the label value of sheet name. And I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to go to project number. And this is nice. You can take the sample value, and this one I'm going to make it a little different. I'm going to make it match the HLB format. First and foremost, project number, I noticed that your type, it has a pound sign in it. You can make that a prefix. Within the project number, you can put the pound sign. Probably you want to use the pound sign as the prefix, and the project number will be, say, XX Y.Z. There we go. Okay. Nice, the way that it starts to control text and the way it starts to control these things, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
CO, we're going to use that same size 2 times and click multiple. We're going to copy this twice. Once for scale and once for date issued. Both of those are 3/16 as well. Scale. Edit that piece. And to scale. Now, scale show up at the scale of the one single viewport that's been brought on. Once there are multiple viewports, it's going to basically say, look, we have multiple viewports here, multiple scales. Same value, fine.
Found out the hard the
Is that good or bad in your world?
we just ended up making text underneath each of the viewports in the page to say the individual scales.
Okay.
We couldn't figure out how to get the scale section to work the way they wanted to.
Great.
Is there to default it to say like as noted or something along those lines? Or multiple windows?
Well, it does default already. It says as noted. If there are
Okay.
Yeah. Once there's more than one, it says as noted. Okay. There's our. And then we can go here to date issued. Edit table. We're going to take this parameter, remove it, and we go to sheet issue date. This is also a question we'll ask ourselves internally. Is it the sheet issue date or is it the project issue date?
Sheet issue date. Yep.
And it looks like that matches your date format.
What do you when the project's being issued, though?
It's
because we're submitting sheets, today, but our project may not due until June 15th.
We personally don't ever, and our sheets are just reference PDFs. So we always do the date that we issue. And I think we need to remove that comma also with January and the year.
Great.
We'll issue.
Well, I'd say that most commonly, we've been carrying Revit services PD recently on a lot of projects. Yep. And most of those projects, just because of time, we're issuing sheets for inclusion within the, the D set.
I see.
And then afterwards, electrical takes it and has their fun. I don't think it's a sticking point. It's just something for us to be aware of. Yeah. We know how we can change it one way or the other.
Yep.
I mean,
we pretty much never issue. We try not to ever have our drawings issued. Licensed.
Well, and I would say the other caveat to that is we're never going to have these drawings really issued in a set in terms of HLB title block.
Right. That's exactly.
The issue sheets to be part of another with the project title block that the architect gives us, all that type of stuff. Okay. So I would then now retract my statement and apologize for wasting everybody's time and agree with Robin.
Sheet issue date, there it is. There's a comma there or not, it doesn't really matter. Because when this gets put into the project, through the management system is really going to determine how that date format comes out.
Okay. And we're missing some things on here that didn't seem to come in. Okay.
Got it. Is it by any chance the stuff on up here looks like maybe a project name?
Yes, and the sheet name at the bottom.
Okay.
I think the ref one I gave you, Peter, I think the one I gave you just happened to only have one line, but we actually have two lines in the template, just in case it's a longer title name. So the example I gave you has 1301 Atwood, but there'd be a line above that matches 1301 Atwood.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much. Oh, great. Let's copy down one of our existing labels. It appears that the sheet number is supposed to be 5/8 of an inch tall. And after we've copied one, to duplicate it, we're going to make it Calibri. Okay. Table. P-1A. Take ball and see it normally fits. Vertical alignment wants to maybe be middle, and also centered probably on this one. And again, we're eyeballing, unfortunately. Not really probably the way that many of us want to do it, but there's no snapping with Revit text.
Why?
Yep. It can't handle multi-line text very well either. I was so thrilled when AutoCAD finally came out with great multi-line text control. And, jumping back into Revit, years ago, I was thinking, okay, well, it's going to finally catch up and get better now that Autodesk has the product, and it never
has.
Oh, well, it's, snapping with text, unfortunately. Okay? Copy up, and we're going to, unfortunately, have to eyeball again. Probably where we think is this a redundant field?
Usually.
Okay.
Bigger.
Duplicate, it's supposed to be 1/2 inch. There's the name. To the bottom. The reason that is because in case it wraps, it'll actually wrap up. Okay. We can grab another piece of 3/16 we have. See, cut up. And press address.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just an awful lot of text management, but it does come in a fairly intelligent way, doesn't it?
It does. And
Yeah,
how do we do the auto-populate of the issues?
Yes, so that's coming up next. So, what we'll do is we want to, under View, with a revision schedule. Click Revision Schedule. So, the available fields, revision number, on what you have set for number, reviewed by, and then the revision. Revision date gets moved up by, which we don't have, so we would have to make that. By, is that work?
I don't know.
Okay. By, and revision sequence, number issue date. Is this supposed to be revision?
I've never used this.
Well, I've only started using it actually now with Revit because it's not auto-populated and Google wants 17 billion revisions.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it's a revision 1...
What is the sequence actually referred to? Is that like the number you, like what Robin just said, revision 1, would that be, is that the sequence? Is the description something else?
No, yeah, so revision number, I've never used that value, revision sequence. I wouldn't know what it does. Yeah. Revision descriptions can get long though, so they're not always, it's not always good to have that one in there.
Yeah, I'm sure also what our last column means, to be honest.
What does
revision mean? Anyone know?
I don't know.
I don't know now that you bring it up.
Okay.
I think there's 3.
Yeah, that's, so Brandon's saying that it's the revision description, but the revision description is going to be too long to fit where we have it.
Yeah. Unless you keep it first short.
Right.
We can put revision description there. Let's just
do we just take out reviewed by? Is that really necessary for revision?
Yeah, like reviewed by is not necessary.
So put revision where reviewed by is and just have the line available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very wise. So revision is essentially the description, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. So what I want to do here is we are going to a properties remember we're going to call this Control and Tab over. You'll see why. In our views, schedules, ribbon schedule. I'm just going to drag on. So we there, edit schedule, and what I do is I want to pull off what is that title? This is a ribbon thing too.
You look at label.
I'm looking for the available fields. There we go. Oh, that's weird. Just select it through the project browser here. But I'm going to Appearance, hit Edit, and I'm essentially going to take off the title and I'll take off the headers.
How did you get to that window?
From Project Browser, select Revision Schedule, and over in the Properties, hit Appearance. And if there's one there. And when you put this, it's basically a trial and error in how you then rearrange it. You can see it. Edit by removing. We're just going to go revision description, so we only have 3. This should populate. Now, going to be a little bit of work to get it to, as you fill in with multiple revisions, the spacing works out with your lines. That's the problem. 2 things you can do. You can either say, okay, we're never going to get this to work with multiple lines. Let's get our lines out of there and allow the revision schedule to do the work. You can add lines between each. Oh, by the way, Arial, want to make this all Calibri. And to make this, what do you think the text size is? 3 seconds, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. We can outline. I am getting a line there that will grid in. As it fills in, it'll automatically do it. So that's a little bit of kind of tuning that you're going to have to do. What's that?
Can you do a user-defined height?
You can. It's under. You do that. Or you can try like that. It'll automatically fill in. So it gives you a grid. It's a little different than what you had prior.
Right.
Problem, and what I was trying to see if we had the ability to do there, and what is you can't get rid of the verticals.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's going to be my question.
Yeah. So I tend to try to in terms I say we don't do any grid lines, we leave kind of like this and draw in lines that then match up. You have to take, come here and distribute of these lines. They actually line up with.
Right.
You're gonna have to get it. You'll have to get two in place. See, I got those two aligned.
How did you get your box to be that big? I have one line still.
Revision schedule, appearance, and I changed it to the height to be user defined.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. And you get the spacing about right. And I really have to apologize. I don't like doing anything where it's kind of close, but there we go. That's unfortunately as accurate as Revit's going to get. And then once you get those set, you can do a CO multiple as your spacing. And select it. Our lines are essentially on, so that's good. Make sense?
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
I think it's coming together.
Cool. Yeah, I'm a little off as we're going, but unfortunately that's as good as we can get.
Right.
So there's that's a complete title block.
What helps a lot is the fact that we already have them built, like you mentioned.
Yep.
It's easier to kind of copy and then tweak to make it that well.
Yeah, it really is. It is. I hope that was explicit enough, and as you're making them, actually, unfortunately, that I'm out of time for what I can do for the day. Session, same next week, same time?
Oh, let's look at what things are.
Yeah, I don't know about next week.
June.
We have somebody here next week at noon, and also the day calc next week is maybe the following week, which is normally scheduled Revit call.
Right. We'll pick up next the following week.
Looks doable.
The 20th.
Great.
Okay. Cool.
Great.
Well, I think that's...
Send out another WebEx?
Yes, I can create one and to everybody. It's in the WebEx, and then next time we can go through kind of similar stuff with families and the lighting fixture schedule, just to, I guess, give a quick preview to that. I think I have something that we start as kind of a template, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly just getting, Peter, your input as to get kind of longer remarks. I think I can explain that a little bit more clearly. Or let me do this. Let me show you an actual one really quick.
Sure.
maybe you can start percolating in your head.
Sure.
I'm sure that this is different than other people have. This is what our fixture schedule looks like in kind of the current program that my team uses. Pretty much, I think all of this I can replicate except for this. And it's something that requires multiple lines of text. It requires, it's something that I haven't been able to figure out quite yet. Everything else on here, fixture type, we've got description we can do, the locations, a little more automatic, manufacturer and catalog number, lamping, things like that. Well, it's this remarks area that is the hack, I think.
I'm able to do it. It just is very clumsy, and the vid is hard to see, but it prints correctly.
Yep.
Okay.
It can be really frustrating for a lot of teams because there are oftentimes very long pieces of text, but the text does not wrap the schedule.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very hard to see. It's just like you have to write it outside of Revit and then copy and paste it in.
Mm-hmm.
But just open up one of your schedules quickly. I can show you. Or Robin, do you feel you have a good handle on it?
On my schedule?
Yeah.
Our schedules look different, but we have done a schedule. We just they took us our Word version and copy and pasted it in.
See, I think that I started messing with it in our template. Hope is that that's where the current one is. Otherwise, I'd have to hunt down where I put that.
No. Essentially, what you can do is I can do this within my sample project here. If you want to switch me back to being the presenter.
Well, I'll be thinking. Too. Red is taking over my world.
Well, remember that pane when we were just doing the revision schedule and we were adding in available fields? When you're in a project, you add a custom parameter. Oh, perfect. So here you can go to the appearance and go back to fields, add parameter, which is right in the middle. You can add just an instance parameter, or it can be type driven. If you want like all of your F1s to say the same thing.
Yeah, and this is what I did, and then you can do it as text.
Yeah, so hit type here. That's text, and then hit on the radio button, hit type.
Oh, gotcha.
And
it's very frustrating, though, still to look at, I will tell you.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay,
then when you get the process going, and once it starts filling in, you'll see how it starts to fill in.
Would that, I just opened up a template, so this isn't the greatest example, but would that information then, that's in our, here, is there a remarks section now?
That's the concept, yeah, exactly. So you can add to remarks, yep.
I think the problem is I wanted to then get a line So I now move down to number 2.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
I can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's a real challenge making those schedules work, and that's the biggest reason why getting a carriage return is impossible.
So it really, okay.
Exactly.
We can't add anything else.
If you type it somewhere else and then cut and paste, you get multiple lines, but you still can't see them.
Yeah, you have to do the pull-down menu.
Yeah. It can be done in sentence form, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there is something cool called an embedded schedule, and that's something that we should take a look at, because we could ultimately put a small schedule within that field that should have remark 1, remark 2, remark 3. It would have to say remark up to like 10. It could automatically fill in. Let's look into that later.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
All right. Sounds doable. So it looks like we're looking for June 20th. Same place. I'll send out some things for everything and go.
Okay. Sounds good. Hey,